Hi, it's Ben Rogers. This is the Property Diary. This is Thursday the 6th of December and the first day that we've had snow down in sunny old Kent. Quite exciting, but it didn't last very long. So everybody was having hassle getting to work, but by about 11 o'clock it was all gone. Very disappointing. We want long-term snow. Let's get the old snowman out. Anyway, three things to talk to you about today. First of all, my neighbour. Second of all, my buddy Luke, something I've mentioned in the past. And thirdly, my buddy Pin, and getting a tenant buyer and working with him on a property down in Kent. So first things first, I'm leaving this morning. Neighbours out scraping their car. I sort of rolled down the window and sort of shouted, "Oh, isn't it cold this morning? God, it's freezing." And sort of came over, had a bit of a chat. Couple of reasons. I'm driving the silly yellow car. It's parked on my drive. My neighbours see this parked on my drive every single flipping day. And she came up, she said, "You buy houses, don't you? How does that work?" It's like, hello? And it turns out that her mother lives up north. I think it's somewhere in Lancashire, not 100% certain. And she's obviously getting to an age where they're probably going to have to put her into some form of accommodation. And she said, "Look, ideally we'd like to get her down here. She lives down here, her sister lives down here, the mother's still living way up there, and it's difficult to actually look after her and be with her." And she said, "I just wonder how it would work with you. I mean, what do you do?" So I kind of gave her literally my elevator pitch from the car driving seat with her peering through the window of my car. And basically sort of saying, look, what we do is we just solve people's problems. If we're having this conversation 5 years ago, guess what? I'd be trying to buy the property sort of significantly undervalued. These days, I just want to give you the price that you want, so long as you can work with me on the terms under which I give you that money. I said, I suggest what we do is, why don't we find a time, you'll know when I'm in because the car will be on the drive, why don't we just find a time when we can have a sit down and have a cup of coffee and talk about what your mum wants and how we can potentially help. So that's great. It comes back to flapping your gums, letting people know what you do, advertising the fact that you buy houses. So that's great. So that's a potential interesting one there. It also turned out they have an extension on their property. They wanted a party wall surveyor that they could talk to, and so I kind of pulled my contact list out and sort of passed it on to them, as well as potentially putting them in touch with my builders. So great sort of relationship build. Then during the day I got an email from one of my buddies, Luke. I've done some mentoring stuff with Luke over the probably last 2 years or so, and he's got a property up in Yorkshire. It's a property he owns outright, one of these that he bought kind of in the early days through a sourcing agent. He lives down in London. This isn't an ideal location for him, and I think that what he's decided is maybe it's a time to put a tenant buyer in there. And so he wanted to go through the process of how to do that. So he just kind of went through the process, what he needs to do, when he needs to do it, how to do it remotely, how to involve. And this has got an interesting point. He's got a tenant in there that moves out in January. I said, look, get that tenant working with you and for you. Motivate them financially to find you a tenant buyer. If you can motivate them by saying, look, I'll tell you what, you help me find a tenant buyer and I'll give you X amount of money. If you do that before you move out in January, I'll give you X amount. If you still come across somebody after you moved out, I'll give you Y amount, slightly less, and then you can do it down over 3 months. Psychology here is, hang on a minute, my landlord's going to give me a bunch of money. If I go and find somebody, heck, I'll go and find somebody. They'll put something up in the window. They'll put some stuff out in newsagents' windows. They'll maybe go and deliver some leaflets. They'll speak to their mates down the pub. They'll find somebody who wants to be a tenant buyer. You motivate them financially, not only are they getting their deposit back, they're also maybe getting £1,000, £2,000, who knows, if you motivate them to do it. Now, the question that Luke had, which is a pretty obvious one, where's that money going to come from? Guess what? It comes from the incoming getting started money that you get from a tenant buyer. Okay, you're getting rid of some of your overall profit on the deal, but it's not your money, it's money that's coming in from somebody else. Why not motivate them to help you? They will open the door and do viewings on the property. He doesn't have to go from London to Yorkshire to do this. It can all be done remotely, and his tenants, his current tenants, can be his point of activity. Have they probably got a smartphone or a camera with video? Can they do a video of the property? Great. So it was all about using his tenants. and what sort of process to put it through, and what sort of price. So we went through the pricing, what it's worth, what he wants to sell it for, what the rent is, what the super rent should be, what the getting started money should be, and how long it should be done over. And one of the things that, just make a note of this, 'cause I want to do a separate video on this, the length of time for deal. What I said was he owns this property already. So does it matter how long he sells it over? He's the one that's already got the mortgage. He's probably, I don't know how much longer he's got on there, but I'd say it's probably 20 years plus. It doesn't matter from his point of view how long he does a deal over, so long as it works for the incoming tenant buyers. And we even got really clever. I said, look, it's an area, he was saying, where there's maybe not a lot of money. I said, look, why not do a second mortgage carryback? And then, guys, if this is freaking you out, don't worry about it. It's just another strategy. But in effect, what he could do is he could finance the incoming getting started money and put an interest rate on that. So long as they can afford the monthly payments on the super rent and the second mortgage carryback, why not do that? Why not finance them the deposit? Still getting the same amount of money, but guess what? You're putting interest on that, so you're making even more money out of it. And you're giving people more flexibility as to how they can get home ownership. So great conversation. And finally, just working with my buddy Pin. Pin lives down in Kent. He comes on to the Kent Property Club on a regular basis. And we've been doing some bits and pieces in my office here. Kind of some one-to-one mentoring, as well as actually doing some telephone calls and doing some deals here. So great stuff for both of us. But he's got a property that he bought cash. It's up for sale and it's struggling to sell. He could rent it out, but he'd need to do a bunch of work to it. So we had the conversation around, why not put a tenant buyer in there? So it's been kind of a tenant buyer focused day today. So what we did was say, look, do you know what? You need to understand this process. So why don't we do this? And actually, it was a good learning point because I've got 2 new apprentices in the office, and so it was a great learning process for them as well. So what we did was we went down to the property, and I did my ugly video. We looked around the property first of all, and I gave them sort of ideas of what we could do. Then we physically did the ugly video of the property, and this is what he'll then have to market it up on YouTube. He'll have the link on his ugly boards outside the properties. It'll go on the leaflets maybe he's going to put out. It'll go up in our windows here at the offices. He'll have a QR code for that, so it links through to people's smartphones. We're putting the whole stuff in process, and he's got kind of the A to Z of how on earth I find a tenant buyer and how I market for it. So again, great sort of day with him. We need to finish off bits and pieces with that tomorrow, get it up online, get the video up on YouTube, all the bits and pieces around it. We'll get it up onto one of the portals so that's sort of marketed sort of the bigger internet audience as well. And chuck it up on Gumtree, so it's got pictures there, videos there, etc. So there you go, a busy little day. The snow has all disappeared and gone. I'm going to scoot off home now. It's Thursday night, so it's athletics night for Megan, my daughter, and me. We'll go and run around in the cold and wind and rain, and I shall look forward to updating you on stuff tomorrow and carrying on with this. So Ben Rogers signing off from the Property Diary. This is Thursday the 6th of December. I look forward to speaking to you tomorrow. Take care.